Come on, pimps! We got 2 coma cases, 1 sniper without an arm, and they're— No, don't you take my son! Don't you take my son! Narrator Fleek here. You know, as far back as I could remember, I always wanted to be a colonial pimp.
I know I'd go from rags to riches.
It started back on level 1 when things were simpler. Grass was still green and the air still reeked of alien guts and gunpowder. Xenos still got stuck indoors and the same voice lines repeated for the better part of an hour. I still can't shit or shut my eyes without hearing the words. But I'm getting off track. The first deployment was boring as hell for the first 15 minutes. People think being a colonial pimp is all about the guts and glory. That's only how it ends for about 25% of conscripts, with their guts gloriously on the ground. In reality, it's mostly walking. Walking until you have it upon some nice looking eggs, and then BAM! Half your team is gone. No, that's not how it went. That's not canon. Run it back. Run it back. Because the first rule of the colonial pimps, no pimp may die without first reaching maximum PTSD. That's why we engage in every last encounter, so that we may be received by the bustin' nuns when our clock is punched. Because every heads-up encounter is the stress equivalent to 20 years of wondering if you left the stove on. In our first deployment, we learned the value of 3 things. First, welding 1 bar of a door when Xenos are coming at you breaks the game and breaks their brains. They'll just keep ramming against it like a dog to a freshly cleaned window. Second, Xenos are hard programmed to grab colonial pimps, bring you back to their pleasure palace, and impregnate you. It's 2023, baby. That 5 o'clock shadow ain't stopping you from being a Xeno baby mama. You better protect that ass, son. I thought we left our main man in the protection of a nice cozy indoor military base, but lo and behold, when I got back, he already jumped jet and had a family on the other side of town. Third, PTSD can be slept off. Turns out the solution was in front of us this whole time, pimps. Just take a nap and bam, you can walk by a construction site without ducking for cover. All in all, only 1 man was lost on this mission. 4 out of 10. We gotta pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers. Now, if you want me to start talking about the second mission, I ain't. No one died, and we all know if no one dies, we can't make a movie about it. Only highlight of this mission was unlocking the flamethrower and handing it to someone with pyrophobia so that every time they flame, they start having a panic attack. Still wasn't worth the panic attack that I had when I saw these straight up foreclosures that they called character models.
Harper told me we got splashed after some kind of failure in the planetary quarantine protocol.
What the hell is even that?
Now the third mission, that's where things started looking up for the colonial pimps, because it was here that we got to cut in on the ATF's market and start setting some cultists on fire. And the cult in question was the cult of Marlowe.
In the name of Marlowe, hunt them down!
A cult dedicated to being chosen by the aliens, and we all know what that means. They want to have sex with them. Kill them because they think different from us!
Glory is down!
Nap time. Now keep firing!
This event is not canon. This event is not canon. This event is not canon. This event is not canon.
The mission was going real smooth right up until we walked into this large room, fired off 2 commands, and then somehow let a singular cultist slip by and whack! Neuron became no-leg Neuron, and now he gets to park right in front of the store. Don't worry, he made it out, and he's got such a strong disposition that he made his phantom limb a real usable limb once again. Now for the 4th mission, this was a real cookout right here. A whole lot of setup for a whole lot of payoff, and by payoff, I mean our team got fucked up. Ruckus got left behind because we didn't do a head count before hopping into the APC, and as it would turn out, we left his geriatric ass laying on the floor of the garage. And by the time I motioned to go back, he had already gotten grabbed and dragged into a life of child support payments.
Come with me to
And just so you're not confused, come the next colonial pimp shindig, Ruiz lost their leg because they stood too close to the splash zone, and after surviving all that trauma in a number of onslaughts, and after I carried them all this way for 30 minutes, a pre-scripted cutscene played to end the mission, and after all that, we lost my turrets. They didn't even let me pick them up. Oh, yeah, well, also Ruiz got left behind. There wasn't enough room in the car. Mission 5! We got the Artie strike ability. Those Xeno hospitals don't stand a chance. Mission 6! Most of the mission was cake. I'm talking 2B levels of cake. So cake, I'd rather show you a cake than talk about it. By the halfway marker, we were already maxed out on PTSD and fought so many onslaughts that we discovered new ways to kill Xenos by simply boiling doors and letting them run against them until they were cooked to medium rare. Oh, it was fucking biblical, pimp. But now where we ran into trouble was when we tried to go to the next level with no gear and no turrets, and we were getting slapped around at every opportunity. Tried to do this, bow. Tried to do that,
Come over here and kiss me on my hot mouth. I'm feeling romantical.
bow. Maybe, bow. We were getting bounced around more than a housewife in the 50s until finally, I had an idea. If we were gonna beat this level, we needed a turret. But to get a turret, we needed gears because all my turrets got broken in the last encounter. But to get gears, we had to cross the entire second floor to get them without the firepower or the fortitude to play, we'll just say how I usually play. So I was introduced to a concept known as stealth. And for the sake of runtime, I nailed this shit on my very first try. There was never a single time where I got caught. They call me Featherfeet Fleek. I could steal the kidneys right out of your body with one move. We spammed the shit out of those life alerts, and those Xenos did exactly what any Redditor would do. They thought in packs. The groupthink was their peril. We had distracted them all so easily with some nonsense that meant nothing, that we were free to commit atrocities in the light of day as they vigorously ran in the other direction, freeing me to get my gears, get my turrets, and make every last kill box I needed to crush the Xeno menace.
Can I please bite a chunk out of that ass?
And crush the second level that eluded me for about 2 hours now. Then we went into the boss fight to fight the belligerent boss bitch and her soy-sedated synthetic simps that skewered my main man into a near early grave, but the colonial pimps prevailed, even at the other pimps that were trying to get at my hose. Then we shut off the Cerberus protocol that was about to glass our planet from orbit. My bad, I forgot that detail. And it was here that our fates started to change. As we were holding the bridge, my flawless flamethrower strat had a fatal misfire, and one Xeno slipped through the crack, walked through the fire, tanked a few bullets, then checked Hood Gal, but somehow ejected her arm off her body as it did, flying so high you could hear it slap God's ass and fall back down to the earth. So immediately, this is where the panic began. We slung Hood Gal over our shoulder, left the arm behind, and began the long exodus back to the Ark. I opened up by using my Adderall powers to place several life alerts, and just as soon as I finished, we had multiple Xenos barreling down the hallways towards us. I motioned to hide my troops, and even triggered a life alert to pull them away so that we could make an opening. But of course, Mari had to take a fucking pot shot at them when we had zero ammo. Mari is getting sent to Canada to get their trauma treatment when this shit is done, I swear to God! But for now, our troops managed to gun down all but 2 Xenos. A stroke of luck, if you will. A 15-carat run of good luck, if you will. But those final 2 still put the team in quite a pickle. As one of them cornered, the other one grabbed Mari and started dragging them to Monkeyland. This was it. Time to be received at Heaven's Gate by the bustin' nuns! But luckily, or unluckily, depending on how you look at it, the big iron always prevails. Quickly, Webb then ran after and saved Mari's cheeks from the clapping with a tactful GL, the ideal hostage-saving weapon. However, it was no time for celebration because now we had to get out of the way before the spastic Zoomer Xeno. Fuck! Dontarius was too slow with the body, got spotted, and now we were in another conflict. We won! But now 2 men had bleed and no men had a med kit, meaning we had less than 3 minutes to complete the mission. So naturally, that meant we had to wait like hell as we set off every last one of our life alerts in the West Wing to keep any Xenos from wandering into our path to the East Wing because we officially didn't have the fight in us for another conflict. We wouldn't have survived it. So after lighting off a few, our path was clear and we began walking. Correction! Most of us ran, but Dontarius had to crawl his way to the elevator because he had Hood Gal slung over his shoulder. But unfortunately, the clap of Dontarius' ass cheeks must have grown louder than the life alerts because one Zoomer Xeno came barreling back our way. But he must have seen a Family Guy funny moments montage that distracted him because I have no clue where the fuck he went, and Dontarius made it safely to the elevator. Mari was so happy he fainted, and now we were on the final stretch. Make it across the first floor to this little room that I can weld shut. But Dontarius has 10 seconds of walking left in him before he falls over like a white woman that hasn't had a mocha frappa fucko in the last 24 hours. So what do? We die. Then we die. And we die and we die, and hang on, I got a premonition coming on. We die. Because when you're buying aliens, you're buying death and the opportunity to finally overcome it. Eh? What do you think of that shit, right? I'm sorry, I've been watching too much Mad Men, and I'm not just saying all this because I couldn't think of a good end. Many thanks to the Flock of Pimps, and a huge thanks to the Pimperers for keeping my flamethrowers loaded, and a major salute to the new Pimperers, Pimperer Hill H31, Pimperer Parker Wolf, and Pimperer Nathan Beaumier. It's an honor to have you, Pimperers. Now I must depart.